Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be video number 1 in a 5-part series. I wanted to talk a little bit about mental health and just kind of my experience with it. So I'm doing 5 different videos. The first video, which will be today's video, is my diagnoses and how they affect me. The second video will be coping skills that I use. Coping skills that I use. Coping skills that I use. Took 3 times to say that. Oh no, honey, don't close the door on mommy. And the third video will be a story time about postpartum depression, how that affected me. And then, honey, no, don't shake it. No. The fourth video will be a story time about how I got clean, and then the 5th video will be a Q&A for any other questions that you guys have. So I thought this would be a fun little series to do. So let's get into the first video. Also, I feel like I say this in every video, but excuse the mess in the background. Oops. Trying to film it in the bathroom because both kids are home and so is my man, so it's just easier to film in here. Alright, so kind of have everything written down right here that I want to go over. Honey, please stop turning the TV on. So the first thing that I will go over is my diagnosis. So I have quite a few. It is what it is. I have bipolar disorder, anxiety, severe depression, opioid dependency disorder, and PTSD. So I'm gonna go through. She wants Blippi. Can I have? Anyways, so I wanted to mention, I know I'm in like pajamas in like every video, but I always decide to film on a day that I'm wearing sweatpants, and also with this whole stay-at-home order and whatnot, it's just easier to be in sweatpants, keeping up with 2 kids, a dog, a cat, and a man is a lot sometimes. So, whatever. I'm going to go over my each diagnosis and then how it kind of affects me. So the first diagnosis I'm going to go over is my bipolar disorder. I was diagnosed with bipolar when I was 18. So basically what happens and why I'm bipolar is I go from happiness, not necessarily extreme happiness, but happiness, and sorry if I keep looking down looking at my notes, which then turns into like anger outbursts or just being super sad. And those outbursts kind of go to the extremes. And then there are other times where I just have extreme excitement for really no reason, but it's like I feel on top of the world and I'm having an amazing day and whatnot. And then also to go along with that, I have severe episodes of depression. Typically when I go from that, happiness, okay mood to anger or sadness, it ultimately turns into a severe depression, which is very hard to deal with sometimes. My next video will all be about the coping skills that I utilize to get through these times and these moments. So keep an eye out for that video, because that will this video is kind of a 2-part kind of thing. How they affect me, what they are, and then the second part will be my coping skills. Second diagnosis is anxiety. So with anxiety, I have panic attacks, which also goes with my PTSD, but I will get into that when I start talking about that. I also have a very irrational fear of something bad happening to my child, which I think every mom feels that way, but sometimes I can go to the extremes and it will keep me up at night, and it like really worries me that something's gonna happen. And it's not even necessarily that something bad's gonna happen, it's something like super dramatic and unreasonable happen to her. I also have a lot of repetitive actions. You guys see I talk with my hands, I shake my leg a lot, I kind of look all over the place and whatnot. So I also do that. I say a lot, I say so, I say anyways a lot. I say it a lot, and like it gets to the point where it drives me crazy sometimes. So that all has to do with my anxiety. I constantly am like repeating my words and repeating different things. So I'm gonna try to stop doing that for the rest of this video. Also, with anxiety, I have a lot of worries about my future. I have a fear of what's going to happen in my future. I have like a fear of having a really bad future or bad things continuing to happen in the future, and I think a lot of that is honestly maybe part of my PTSD with my traumatic childhood, but I contributed that a lot to anxiety. Also, I have a lot of social anxiety. There are times that I can't even go out to a restaurant and order my own food. There are times that I'm completely fine, completely capable of it, but more times than not, I'm not. So, the third diagnosis is depression. Basically, with my depression, I get a sense of like hopelessness. There's no suicidal tendencies or thoughts, but I have no fear of dying when I get in my depression moods. It's kind of like it is what it is. If it happens, it happens. I'm not gonna, completely try to prevent it, but I'd be okay if it happened. And that's not necessarily all the time. That's typically only when I have like a bipolar episode and I go into that severe depression. Also with my depression, that usually comes in, that's when I'm self-harming. When I allow myself to get down to that point, I will start self-harming, self-mutilating, all of that kind of stuff, which is not good, which is where a lot of better coping skills can come in handy for that. When my depression is really, really bad, I stay in my sweatpants. I typically don't brush my hair, don't do my makeup. I stay in bed or on the couch or in the house. I don't really do cleaning. I don't keep up with what I need to keep up with. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that if I stay in sweatpants for a week, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm depressed, but there's a chance that I could be. Sometimes it's just life. But also, when I get super depressed, I lash out in anger. Not exactly sure why, but I typically end up lashing out and I get super frustrated and super angry. And overall, I just don't really want to do anything. I just want to sit and be lazy and sleep as much as I can and watch TV and do things that, help me not think about whatever reason I'm depressed. So moving on to opioid dependency. I was diagnosed with opioid dependency when I was 15. I went into my first rehab. So basically, opioid dependency is drug use. I was addicted to opiates, hence opioid dependency. So with that whole thing, it basically starts out as doing drugs. You head into your downward spiral, which I've done quite a few times, and then you get the feelings of the hopelessness, the wanting to die, not wanting to feel, so you continue to use to feel numb. And I feel like the opioid dependency is a very bad coping skill for like depression, anxiety, and whatnot. When I'm using drugs, when I would use drugs, it would kind of bring my depression, my anxiety, all of that to the front, and I could not function without getting high. So with opioid dependency, it's something that I have to work on every day so that I don't slip back into it, which I'll kind of talk about that when I do my story time of how I got clean from heroin. I'll kind of let you guys know about that. This stuff is driving me crazy right here, guys. And having one of those days where like I woke up and like I felt really good about myself and I felt like I looked really good and whatnot, and I'm not really feeling it right now, and kind of don't want to upload this video because I'm sitting here looking at myself and I don't really like what I see, but I have to get past that and kind of find my confidence, and this video will still go up. Just kind of want to put that out there. It's kind of how I'm feeling. It's kind of relevant to all this stuff. So, then for my PTSD, I was diagnosed with this at 15 as well. So basically, like I said, anxiety coincides with this, with the panic attacks. Although when it's my PTSD more so affecting me, those panic attacks tend to turn into flashbacks, and tend to turn into something that's very hard to pull myself out of, and it takes a lot of work for somebody to help pull me out. It takes a lot of work for myself to pull myself out. I've gotten really good at being able to pull myself out of a panic attack and flashbacks, but it's not always possible. So there's other, you know, coping skills that I have to utilize before I get to that point, which isn't always possible, but for the most part for me it is pretty possible. So with PTSD, it gives me a lot of fear and anxiety. Just in the same way that just my normal anxiety makes me worry about the future and worry that something bad's going to happen to myself or my child, PTSD kind of heightens all of that because of the trauma that I experienced as a child. I'm terrified of like my daughter going through the same thing, which I know that she's not, and I know that she's safe, but it also kind of, you know, it affects me in a way that somebody might say something to me, but their tone makes me take it in a different way, and it leaves me wondering, you know, are they gonna hurt me, or, you know, what's gonna happen with this relationship? Do they not like me? You know, is it something that, you know, just something bad's gonna happen? And it also left me with very unhealthy relationships. I was in quite a few very, very unhealthy, toxic relationships. It left me with trust issues. I have a really hard time trusting people, especially new people. And even people I've known for a really long time, there's always that little thing in the back of my mind, should I trust them or not? So there's a lot there, and there's so much more in depth that I could go about each diagnosis, you know, different story times about how things have happened to me and how things have affected me. But in this first video, I just want to put out there my diagnosis, a little bit about how they affect me, and then I'll get into more when I go over my coping skills that I use. Certain coping skills can have more than one. You know, if I use it for anxiety, it might also work for depression as well. But I'll get into all that in the next video. So I hope that was a lot of information. If you guys have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section. Also follow me on Instagram at VA_babymama. That will be in the description as well. So that if you guys want to message me with any questions, you guys can do that as well. Like I said, the last video of this series will be a Q&A, so I would appreciate it if I had some questions to answer and whatnot. So I think that about wraps it up. I hope you guys are excited about this series. I hope that this video was appealing to you and that it might help someone out there. I know that it was really just me talking about myself, but I'm hoping that someone can realize, like, hey, I feel that way, I felt that way, and, you know, whatever. I hope this series is helpful as a whole. Also, I wanted to invite you guys to check out my Herbalife link, which will be in the description below. If many of you, as many of you may know or may not know, I am an Herbalife independent distributor. I will be doing some more Herbalife videos, but I wanted to get this series done and out there before I do any more Herbalife videos, but I will be doing those. Also, fill out a wellness profile on my Herbalife page if you are looking into leading a healthier lifestyle and getting healthy, losing weight, building weight, gaining weight, building muscle, whatever you need. Fill out a wellness profile and see if Herbalife could work for you. Feel free to message me on Instagram with any comments about Herbalife, but take a look at it, check it out. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and leave a comment so that I know you're here. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.